welcome to the Church Fails podcast, where we bring our failures out into the open so we can laugh and learn something along the way. My name's Kade, this is Dillon, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about our adventure as live stream newbies.
Yeah, so to give you a little background, Kade and I, we work together not only in the church, but in business as well, and we're also brothers. Bet you didn't know that.
Surprise!
We've been doing this live streaming thing for a little while now with some of our client work. This first time we've done it as a church, and so that was a new experience for us. And we've had a couple of rough patches, but Kade is the lead pastor of the church. Kind of give us a little background into what live streaming has been like thus far.
Well, the reason we hadn't live streamed so far is we really value the in-person gathering, which I think most churches do. And we weren't fully sure that we could offer the same kind of experience online as in person, because it just takes some, extra work and talent and that sort of thing. So we had to put it off until, good old coronavirus decided to come pay us a visit. Mm-hmm. And then we were forced into it. So I remember our last service in person before we were forced to go live stream. It was just kind of probably just like most churches, it's we're going to stick to the in-person. We're going to, stick this out. And then the next Sunday, we're all live streaming. So that was us too.
Yeah.
And so Dillon and I were scrambling just to get everything ready and make sure that live streaming experience was going to be a good one. And we've kind of hit some rough patches along the way. It set us off on an adventure. Today was, I think, week 4 of live streaming. Mm-hmm. And we had some rough patches.
Week 5.
Week 5.
Yeah.
And we had some rough patches today too, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's back up at the beginning of the story. And let's just go through this streaming adventure week by week. So week 1, tell us, leading up to week 1, Dillon, tell us as worship leader, what was kind of going through your head as far as what are we going to do for worship?
Yeah, so obviously since we'd never live streamed before, nobody had ever heard our worship set in a raw setting. They'd only ever heard it in the room, and obviously it hides a lot of mistakes in a live setting and a room setting. And so I was a little worried about them hearing every little thing. I don't know that I was super confident in our ability to produce distractionless worship in a live setting like that on somebody's phone. And so that was probably my first concern. And it wasn't really even a pride issue. It was more just can we create distractionless worship? And so I think that was the first thing that went through my head. And so the first couple of weeks, we decided to just do an acoustic set with one vocal and then an acoustic guitar, just as we figured things out. And then we brought the team in later, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's kind of how it was for me in the beginning.
Yeah, and so we led into week 1, it was an acoustic and a vocal on worship, and then everything else about the service was pretty much the same. We used the same intro, the same transitions. We still had, a 20-minute, 30-minute message. And week 1, we used Live Church's church online platform, which is awesome because they do that for free. What a great thing. But I think because all of us churches that hadn't been live streaming decided to jump on it on the same Sunday, it crashed. Right at 11 a.m. whenever our service started. So we're back there scrambling, and I'm luckily I have a texting platform set up for our church, so I was able to send everybody a text message, and we were also simulcasting to Facebook. So I'm everybody just jump over to Facebook. You can find us there. And so it was a little bit of a scramble, but I mean, other than that, I think week 1 went pretty well. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I don't think there were any big problems or anything. I didn't even lead worship that week, so it's kind of nice to be behind the scenes and help iron everything out on the first week. I had Kade's wife, Beth, and then our sister, Brooke, play acoustic. Beth sang. So we were just kind of back there figuring it all out. And we didn't really have any big hiccups that week, except for the Life Church thing crashing. But I think everybody's already on Facebook anyway, weren't they? Or most of our church?
Well, I had encouraged everybody to go to our website just because it's just... there's less things that can go wrong whenever you use your website to stream a service, because Facebook could shut you down because you're playing copyrighted music and all this other stuff. So the text message that originally went out to the church was hey, jump on our website. And then it's 5 minutes later when nobody could get on, it's like, hey, go to Facebook instead. A little bit of confusion.
Yeah,
But
there's a good number of older demographic that was already on Facebook though, because that's what they were familiar with. I'm not going to the website.
Yep. And then you have like your YouTube fans too, who they were over on YouTube. And I'm like, hey guys, we kind of need to like come together in the same place so we can all chat together. Like that's the point of this thing. So still working that out even 5 weeks in.
Yeah, it seems like they're enjoying the chatting though, being able to chat during the sermon.
Yeah. Are they even listening to me?
Probably not. I'm not.
What about that chatting during worship? How are they singing whenever they're chatting?
I don't know. That's a good question. Haven't thought that one through.
So, I think it'd be cool to actually play a clip of how it sounded for our first live stream. So why don't we go ahead and do that here?
Ooh, all right.
Our champion, you fight for us. You made a way where there was none. Our champion, you're strong in us.
All right, so that's how it sounded on our first live stream. Not too bad. So let's move on to week 2. So since I'm kind of like you guys might know me from Collaborate Worship, I teach a lot of live sound training. And so I've kind of taken the reins of the sound aspect of this and making sure that the stream sounds good, which as you guys have probably figured out, like mixing for a live stream versus mixing for the room is a lot different. And there's some things that you have to figure out. So I've been on this quest to figure that stuff out, which I'm going to release through Collaborate Worship once I get our strategy ironed out and know that it works. It just takes some time. I'm getting close. But week 2, my strategy actually got worse. It sounded worse.
And that was the week I was leading by myself.
So we'll just blame it on Dillon. It's because Dillon was singing that day that it got worse.
Yeah.
But no, it was totally my fault. And what I learned is that when you have too much reverb on a live stream, it sounds extra terrible. And we also incorporated like a pad in the background that week, and it was way too loud.
Way too loud.
Which made it even more terrible. So why don't we play a clip of that so people can see what that sounded like.
I will not fear, for you are with me. I've seen this fight from the victory. Yeah, no power of hell can stand against me.
All right, so as you can see, week 2 sounded worse than week 1. So we're not progressing yet. So let's move on to week 3. Let's see what happened week 3. We got the sound sorted out. We were still doing acoustic then, right?
Were we?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Because we waited till Easter to do full band, which was our 4th week live streaming. But week 3, I forgot to mention, week 2, we had the same issues with the church online platform. Like it overloaded again, and people weren't able to get on, so they had to move to Facebook. So then week 3, I was like, okay, it's going to take Life Church a little bit of time to get this figured out, which is, I totally get that. Totally not bashing Life Church. I just want you guys to know, like, that's a killer system that they have, and they're giving it away to churches. That's incredible. They just had a hard time.
And every church in the nation just hopped on it in like a week. So
Right. Caused all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Totally get it. But I have a web development background. I've been in digital marketing for a long time, started out as a web developer. So I was like, I'm just going to kind of build out my own solution for the website, just so I know that it works, because we're a small church. So it's not like thousands and thousands of people are going to be tuning into our live stream. It's like 50 people or so. And so I was like, I know that our website can handle that. I built that out on our website. Lo and behold, my chat solution didn't work.
bummer.
So people could watch it, but they couldn't chat. So, there was also like lots of skips that day because I think our internet was
that the first time it did that?
It's the first time it was really noticeable.
Yeah.
Like, just like with any live stream, there's like a skip here and there on the other weeks, but week 3, it was just like kind of out of control. So that's what happened week 3.
But it wasn't even the worst.
But it wasn't even the worst. Week 4, Easter.
Yeah. The Sunday of all Sundays.
The Super Bowl of all Sundays. And the first time we had full band, which was really cool. Probably a little nerve-wracking for you.
Yeah.
Tell us what you were thinking.
Well, Kade and I, we discussed it quite a bit the week before and bounced around. Is it really worth it to do it? And we were going to be over the 10 people a little bit to have the full team there, and then the tech team that's required to make the service happen, which we were really okay with because everybody that was going to be there was going to be essential to making it happen. But Kade basically told me, he's like, this is probably just going to be an opportunity for you to talk to the team and say, this is where we take it to the next level. Because like I said, I was worried about, are we going to be able to create distractionless worship? And I have an incredible team. But like I said, there's a lot of things that are hidden in the room that we just kind of say, like, oh, it's good enough, you know? But like when it comes to live streaming, those things were going to be prominent and we needed to fix them. And so I took Kate's advice and I just sent out an email. I was like, hey guys, here's the thing. I'm not super confident right now that we can create distractionless worship on the live stream. Do I know that we can do it? Of course, but it's going to take a little bit of extra work, and it's going to take a little more work on y'all's part during the week, practicing on your own. And so I laid out a plan for them, and we met for rehearsal the Wednesday or the Thursday before, and we recorded our rehearsal, the last run through we did, and then I sent them the recording with notes saying like, this is where you could improve your timing for our drummer. This is where you could improve this for our guitarist, and just things like that. And then worship in terms of like how everything flowed and how it sounded, like it was really good on Easter. So there wasn't really any problems with that, which I was super grateful for. Like they totally killed it.
Yeah, I agree. Like the team stepped up to the plate. It was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. But in terms of streaming, that's another story.
So yeah, I even the audio was on point. Like I spent a lot of time at the church. You know, we recorded some tracks using the X32 so that I could do some virtual sound checks. You know, after the band's rehearsal, I went to the church, got things dialed in, and I learned some things like that. Compression is really important with the live stream, like way more important than it is like mixing in the room. So that's some stuff that I need to write up for Collaborate Worship, because I've always taken this stance of like, only use compression if you absolutely need it, which is mainly on vocals. Turns out you also need it on the kick drum and the snare and like all this other stuff whenever you have a live stream, or else like one kick is like buried in the mix and the next one's like, you know, way in your face and like all this kind of stuff. So got all that sorted out though before Easter. The band actually, it sounded really good, like on the live stream, especially for our first time having full band. So let's show them what that looks like, or what that sounded like.
In the shadow, under your wings, you're my refuge, you are my strength. I'm secure, no longer ashamed. All my hope will rest in your name. Come on, sing that again. All my hope will rest in your name. I will sing Jesus.
All right, so as you heard, overall, you know, I think it sounds pretty good. I mean, maybe they can message in and tell us, you know, that wasn't so great. Maybe we're just
We thought it was pretty good.
we thought it was pretty good. Hopefully you would agree. But so it's going, worship is going, it's Easter Sunday, we're excited. And our video thing that we're using something called Switcher Studio, you know, where you can use your iPhones as cameras, and you can also like bring in your slides and stuff from your computers. And that's what we've used for years, like for our client work, and it's always been great.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't like whatever's going on with your Wi-Fi environment, and it decides to start getting all jittery. And I actually noticed that right before service started, that it was starting to get all jittery. I was like, oh no, Lord, please let it hold on, you know? and it held on through worship, and then all the video froze up. Every camera, like it just all froze, like, I don't know, like 5 minutes into my message. My Easter message.
And I was the one to deal with all of it. But
yeah, and so I'm up here like trying to deliver a message, and like there is all this commotion going on in the room. They're taking cameras down, they're moving around, and they're talking to each other, and I'm just like trying to stay focused. And I was like, do I even need to keep, am I talking to nobody right now? Like that's what was going through my head.
yeah, because we didn't give him any sort of signal. I was like, oh, we'll just let him keep going. I don't want to distract him.
So I really wasn't sure if people were still hearing me or what was going on, but luckily the audio kept going strong the whole time.
Yeah.
So you guys actually had a good solution. Like there was still one feed that was working, and it was the feed coming from our computer that runs the projector. So they were able to throw like our our logo slide for our church, but people could still hear me. So yeah, luckily service went on, but it's a bummer that happened on Easter. Our video died, but audio kept going.
Yeah. And what we learned is to give Kade a signal so that he's not super confused. He looked like he was going strong, like he wasn't bothered by it at all. But
Well, that's good because that's not what was going through my head. So it was good practice for me to learn how to keep going.
Yeah.
Even with all the distractions in the
I
room.
think you were like, "Oh, can I get a thumbs up next time or something?"
Well, I learned through that, like whether they tell me or not, I'm just going to keep going and pretend like everything's okay,
Yeah.
regardless of how much commotion's going on.
It's like, hey, we thought it was good. We wanted to hear you finish it. Us that were in the room.
So today is actually Sunday afternoon. And so we just got through with a service not too long ago. And we were actually going to record this yesterday. And I was like, hey, Dillon, let's just wait. So we have another Sunday to talk about. So today was week 5, the week after Easter.
We got some things to talk about.
And I was hoping that I could get on this podcast after today and be like, man, we got it all figured out. And it went perfect because I spent some time with Cox, our internet provider, spent some time on the phone with them, and we tried some solutions. I tested this thing like 4 times, and I even tested it during rehearsal this morning. And it was great. Like we had the issues figured out. Stream health was good. It was being consistent for the first time. And then it's time to go live for service, and it's the worst it's ever been. Stream health.
Choppy.
Choppy. Lots of buffering, lots of breaks, so much that people are like, I don't even know what Kade was talking about, you know? Skip like 3 paragraphs.
Well, I heard worship it wasn't too choppy, so that's all right with me. I don't really care about your sermon. I'm just
I
kidding.
think your song was the best, actually, so.
Figures.
Yep.
You are powerful, God above it all. I believe in you. I believe in you. You do miracles, the impossible. I believe in you. I believe in you.
But it still sounded pretty good today. So, I mean, pretty much like it was last week because we got that stuff figured out. So, our main issue right now is we have to figure out how to get consistent, like, internet connection. Like, we have great speeds, and like you speed test it and it's great. I think what's happening is, and the Cox guy confirmed this, is everybody and their dog is live streaming right now. Like not just churches, but people are live streaming their video games and like FaceTiming and like all this stuff. And Cox is just having a really hard time keeping up with the demand of that.
So what we're saying is if you're gaming on Sunday morning, you need to stop.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because we need it.
We need everybody to get off the internet at Sunday mornings at 11.
Especially if you live in Owasso.
Today's public service announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, other than that though, it went good. And our solution for what happened today, like it was bad enough that like people are just like, I'm just going to have to listen to this later. So what we're going to do is this evening, here in a few hours, let's see, it's 2:00 p.m. right now. And then at 7 p.m. tonight, we're going to restream our service so that everybody can jump on. And we're going to do that from my house where we are right now, up in my office, because here we have fiber internet, which is way more consistent than the internet we have at church. Unfortunately, fiber is not available at church, so that's super bummer.
It's in an old part of town.
Yeah.
What can you do?
So should go well tonight.
Hopefully.
Yeah. We will see. So we're just going to take the video. Luckily, our live streaming system, like it records the video on the device that's live streaming. So we can just take that video that's consistent. Like the skips and stuff aren't in that video because that's before it hit the internet, you know. So it's going to be smooth tonight.
Thankfully, we have that.
Yep. All right. So that's the story. Hopefully you're able to laugh with us along the way. We also want you to learn something though. And hopefully you've learned some things because we gave some pointers throughout there. But I want to, before we get off this podcast, just talk about the top 3 things that we've learned so far. And I would say number 1 is like Wi-Fi and internet connection are everything when it comes to live streaming.
No doubt.
And we're still trying to figure that out. I would love to give you all kinds of wisdom right now.
Can we just run a big Ethernet cable from your house to the church?
Let's see. That's like 15 miles away. So.
Yeah, just hang it out the car window. Have Beth hold on to it.
What's the max length on an Ethernet?
Probably not that.
Probably not that. So, I mean, you're going to be, unless you just live in a great place of the city where you have fiber internet, you're going to be fiddling and testing things and trying to get it all sorted out until hopefully it takes you less than 5 weeks. I mean, we're still working on this. Maybe next week we'll have it. And what's funny about that is next week is actually what looks like to be our last week of only live streaming. We'll be able to have people in person again the week after that. But we're still going to continue live streaming because we understand with the coronavirus that not everybody's going to be comfortable coming to church. right off the bat. But, you know, it'd be just convenient for us to get this all figured out by the time we're done meeting it.
We know there's some people that are probably thinking, like, why don't you guys just pre-record everything and then stream it from your house?
True.
But we want to keep doing this after people come back. So we need to figure it out now so that we can have a healthy stream whenever everybody's back at church. Because we obviously can't pre-record it then, you know?
Yeah.
That's our reasoning for that.
Yep. So we've always been thinking long term because, I mean, just the pre-recording thing's great. And a lot of churches have been doing that.
Yeah.
But like you said, we just want to keep doing this. And obviously we can't pre-record our services and have people in. I mean, I guess you could play it on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, like we've looked at just the result of live streaming the last few weeks. And I mean, people are being reached that we weren't reaching in our building, you know, and even if it's just one person, we feel like it would be worth it. So that's why we want to continue doing it afterwards, even though we've never done it before. But yeah.
Yep. We definitely see the value in it. And I think it was a Carrie Newhoff post that we read not too long ago that like even further helped us see the value of it being kind of like your front porch to your church, the live streaming thing. Like people would like to see what's going on in there, you know, from the window before they actually come in. It's like, that's a really good idea. So that's kind of the theory that we're going to be testing. Obviously nobody can like come to church right now because of the coronavirus, but
yeah, maybe we'll have people that we've never seen before show up because they've been live streaming this last few weeks. You know?
Wouldn't that be super cool?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll have to talk about that in a future episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that was the first thing. Wi-Fi, internet, or everything. Main things we've learned. We're talking about the three. The second one is, and I told you guys this, be careful with reverb and pads. If they're too much in the live stream, it's just going to sound terrible. And then the third one, this one actually comes from Dillon.
Don't be afraid to simplify the music until you are able to provide a quality sound with the live band. So like if that means an acoustic guitar and one vocal, because it's simple to mix, then go for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think people were still enjoying worship just as much. Like they obviously missed the band, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So.
And I mean, luckily for us, things went well whenever we brought the live band in. But let's say if it didn't go well, would we have kind of taken a step back and gone back to acoustic the next week to give us some time to figure it out?
Yeah. And if, if this team hadn't have stepped up to the plate, which I knew they would, like I was confident in them to do that. But if they hadn't, that probably would have been an opportunity to say, like, send them the recording. Here's why it wasn't very good, you know, and give them some examples and say, let's work on it for 2 more weeks. And we're going to do a couple more acoustic sets so we can work on it behind the scenes. And then we'll come back and try again, you know. So if that's what you have to do to get your band on the same page, then because they're going to miss it, obviously, but I think they'll understand if you need to take some time to work on it.
True. All right. Well, y'all, thanks for listening to the podcast. If we had one thing that we would ask you to do after these podcasts, it'd be to subscribe. We understand that failure in itself is kind of hard to live through, I guess, or maybe you get stuck with failure. You don't want to talk about it because you're embarrassed. We've both been in that place. And I mean, there's still times that I'm like that. But with this podcast, we were hoping to just kind of like blow that out of the water because failure really is just an opportunity for us to step into, you know, God's best for our lives. You just learn from it and you move into something better. So,
and it's hilarious.
It is. So hopefully by laughing at us and seeing that we're not perfect and seeing that Kade, the mixing genius of Collaborate Worship, still makes mixing mistakes by putting too much pad and reverb in the live stream mix, gives you some hope. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear the next episode, and we'll keep bringing our failures to you in the future.